to Israel, we were lucky enough to have a group from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, specifically Salle University in Brazil, to be members of our group. This is a relationship going on 3 years now, and helps provide our group with diverse opinions coming from different parts of the world. This international effect ultimately broadens our understanding and furthers our education exponentially. We also have the benefit of being with Nadav, a local guide from Israel, who very strongly gave us a local perspective. And not only the local perspective, but the Jewish perspective, which in Israel is very important, clearly. Also, this enabled us to have more personal connections with local people of the culture. Without Nadav or the Brazilians, our understanding wouldn't have been half as strong.
Walking through the checkpoint, I was able to have an understanding of the wall that I would not have been able to receive no matter how much I read. The wall left me with so many questions, and the structure of the wall is still forever imprinted in the back of my mind. In my opinion, the wall influenced a lot of my thinking about the conflict, and because I was able to walk through it, I am able to understand the conflict at a level not many people can say they appreciate.
The conversations I had on our trip with so many people I never would have met otherwise were truly the most life-changing part of this experience. At Bethlehem University, I had the chance to sit down with 2 students from the Dheisheh refugee camp and have lunch. Walking out of that conversation, which quickly turned to the morality of suicide bombing, I was speechless. I now have a first-hand account of what causes these men to consider dying for their cause a case of martyrdom and honor, rather than a terrorist action. And by listening to them defend their beliefs about violent rebellion, I am able to see both ends of the spectrum of perspectives.
The one stop that really stood out to me was our day in the Golan Heights. We stepped off the bus, felt the cold wind, and saw the white snow. I couldn't believe that the day before we were in the Negev desert. It was in this moment that I began to understand how there could be so many opinions, groups, cultures in such a small area. By seeing the great range of the land there, it seemed so clear that its people would be equally as diverse. Our goal was not to pick a side, but understand as much as we could. And with the images of the country, I was able to create a foundation to begin to understand.
Masada was one of the most beautiful places we visited in Israel, but it was also one of the most important in understanding the Jewish identity. Had we heard the story of how the Jews at Masada killed themselves and their families rather than giving in to the Romans, the impact would not have been as strong. Despite the fact that their actions went against their values and beliefs, Jews are proud of what happened at Masada because it meant not giving in to Roman power. Seeing what they saw as we heard their story made us appreciate that.
One of the most powerful aha moments I experienced in this trip was during our stay in Tel Aviv. During our stay in Tel Aviv, our hotel was situated across the street from the legendary Dolphinarium suicide bombing site. Seeing this site, walking around it, smelling it, and even just being near it, really drove home a sense of history, a sense of nationality, and an understanding of the fear and paranoia this place has overcome.
Despite the fact that the Western Wall is one of the most sacred sites in Judaism, you do not need to be Jewish to feel and understand its significance. Being there and experiencing the Western Wall was an emotional encounter for many of us, as we could see the Israelis' historical and cultural attachment to the wall through their prayers and tears.
One of the pieces of the Jewish identity that we wanted to understand better was the impact of the Holocaust. To do this, we visited Yad Vashem, one of the most well-known Holocaust museums in the world. We felt the present represented in the pictures as a memorial to every Jew who perished in the Holocaust. We felt the respect for the past and the reflection of the water below. And we saw the empty spaces that represented those whose names have still not been found, but are remembered. As we left the building, we were bathed in the sun's light, leaving us with a sense of hope.